Once again, you already know what it is, and you already know where you have reached the #1 collaborative combat sports podcast, YouTube show anywhere in the world as it pertains to professional wrestling. I am the founder and host of Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. My good friend and brother to my immediate left is the founder and host of Everything Pro Wrestling, and this is Clash of the Podcast. We are in the building, and we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Impact Pro Wrestling pay-per-view, Vince McMahon, Sasha Banks debut in New Japan. It's a lot of stuff going on. Let's get to it right now. Hit that intro, brother. Yo, that intro is lit, my guy. Listen, to all the pro wrestling organizations out there, even the MMA organizations, sign my man up because he's doing some big things. Big things popping, little things stopping for all you old heads out there. But listen, for everybody out there, man, it's such a blessing to be with you guys. I'm in a tremendous mood. Nothing crazy going on, nothing new going on. Just feeling good, man. How about you, Conrad?
I am feeling the same, man. Trying to recover over a little bit of a injury snafu, as we were talking about before. Got some shoulder issues, but hopefully that won't stop me from getting back in the gym soon, so I can get my upper body strength on. Nice. But other than that, man, no, life is good.
That's a beautiful thing, man. I'm really excited about my situation too. Been in the gym hardcore. Nutrition has become a very important part of my life. So I'm kind of following your lead on this one. Big shout out to my brother, my other brother from another mother, Mountie. He's going to be on the show with us soon, but he's been kind of like my personal trainer / nutritionist. So I'm really fired up about that, bro.
Excellent. We got a lot to get into, as Sean has outlined for the show tonight for a Clash of the Podcast. We're going to be talking a little Impact Pro Wrestling Hard to Kill. I know some people in the chat are like, man, I'm not. Listen, I'm telling you, give Impact Wrestling a chance. I think it's worth your time. This could be where you could get back on it. So, and we'll get you all set up. We're going to go through the matches, let you know how it's going. We're going to be talking about Vince McMahon. There's going to be a lot to say about that. And we're going to be talking about Mercedes Moné. It's not Moné, it's Moné.
I'm just going to preview for all our listeners. Big shout out to Derek, Joel, Matthew, so many people in the art. Appreciate you guys. Sick, Big T, I see y'all. Connor. A lot of things to say, Conrad. I mean, a lot of things to say. But we got to pay some bills and get some things situated first. And we're going to have some fun, too. But let's get into the Hard to Kill, because I really feel like there's a lot of interesting storylines that are going into this pay-per-view. I agree with you. It's an acquired taste, Impact, but I think Fight TV and Impact are putting on a really good show this Friday night, and I think we should break it down for the people, man.
For sure. Let's get into it. I'm just trying to see if we missed anyone. Demond, I see you snuck in here. Let y'all know the Lions may not be going to the playoffs, but the world watched. Yeah, I see them Lions making moves. Rob wrote, money. Love it. What channel is Impact on? They're on Access TV if you have availability for it. Give Impact a chance. Be easy. No Impact. Come on now. I'm gonna convince y'all. That's gonna be my goal for this here.
Yes.
Bringing it up. This is the card. Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill. There's some backstories behind some of these matches, and the first thing you may be asking is, well, if I did want to watch it, how can I watch it? Easily the best option for you is to watch this. It's going to be on Friday, January 13th at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 1 a.m. GMT if you're out there. Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill. You can watch it in the United States on Fight TV and in the UK on Fight TV. Definitely recommend everybody go through this. The matchups that we have are going to be Rich Swann versus Steve Macklin. You've got Joe Hendry versus Moose in a singles match for the Impact Digital Media Championship. You have a four-way to determine the #1 contender for the Knockouts World title between Deonna Purrazzo, Killer Kelly, Masha Slamovich, and Taylor Wilde. You're going to have Trey Miguel versus Black Taurus for the Impact X Division Championship. That should be a sleeper match, I think. Motor City Machine Guns, the current Impact Tag Team Champions. Yes, they are still doing it and doing it big versus Heath and Rhino. You may remember them as the first SmackDown Tag Team Champs versus the major players. That is also the Major Bros, Hawkins and Ryder. And they will also be taking on Bullet Club in a 4-way tag team elimination match for the tag belts. You got Jonathan Gresham, newly signed to Impact Wrestling, going up against Eddie Edwards. Jordan Grace versus Mickie James in a title versus career match. For those players that don't know, it is similar to Ric Flair's situation. If Mickie James loses a match, she retires. So she's going for the title. Can she pull off one last big match for Mickie James? Is the selling point of that one. Should be fun. In the main event, Josh Alexander versus Bully Ray in a Full Metal Mayhem match for the Impact World Championship, which has a lot of Impact fans biting their nails because they don't know if Bully Ray is coming in to put the big star out. Lots to get into with this one, Sean.
Yeah, lots to that, man.
Yeah, I definitely think Impact is well worth it. If you want to watch their weekly television programs, I do it via the YouTube option because I don't have Access TV. So I go on YouTube. I pay $0.25 for each show. It's $1 a month, 99 cents technically. Not a big deal. I definitely think that it's well worth it if you wanted to get into that. Just putting it out there for people who would like to watch or be interested in it. Now we have some other matches that we can get into here. One place you're not getting into, though, is Center Stage because the show is sold out in Atlanta. So if you guys wanted to go, got to watch it on TV at this point. But let Impact know that you want more seats opened up. Maybe they can find a way to do that, whatever it may take. But I'm happy for them that they got it. And you can watch Countdown to Hard to Kill Friday, January 13th at 7:30. You can get 2 matches. The first matchup here, we have the Death Dolls. They will be taking on Tasha Steelz, Savannah Evans, and Giselle Shaw. What do you think of this pairing here, Sean? The Death Dolls are getting over in Impact Wrestling. They currently hold the Impact Tag Team Championship. I like it. I like this matchup here for both competitors on both sides.
I like it too. I think it's an interesting matchup. I think the Death Dolls are doing their thing as you mentioned, but I think the MVP of this, my nickname's MVP, so that wasn't a pun. But I guess the standout in this match in my mind is Tasha Steelz. I think that she's really a good professional wrestler. I love her gimmick. I think that she has that swagger, that hip hop urban swagger that translates to that particular audience, and her wrestling skills translate to her to all audiences. So I think Steelz, Evans, and Shaw are a really good team. You got to keep in mind that Lydell will be on the outside looking in, but I'm liking this 6-woman tag, and I think it's going to be a very good way to get everybody's appetite whetted. That's not a word. That's not even a word.
It can be.
It'll be a word for today. Their appetite all geared up for the pay-per-view.
Yeah, I really like this matchup. See, with the Death Dolls, I see a lot of experience on that side of things versus a group of knockouts who could benefit from that. Giselle Shaw, I think, is going to be a big star in that division. It's just going to take time, and when the right opportunity comes up, I think that she'll be able to jump up and get in there. Also, we have Tasha Steelz and Savannah Evans, Savannah Evans. They've been crushing the game as a duo. I think this is good for them as well, just to get back into that world title mix, especially for Tasha Steelz. It's going to be good. Like I said, in this one, if you had to pick a winner, do you have somebody?
I'm going to go with Steel's team. I think that she's on the come up. I think that she's on her comeback trail toward the championship, as you just accurately mentioned. And I think that's what's going to lead to victory for that 3-woman team over the Death Dolls.
I think this could lead to a tag title match. So I'm going to agree with you on that. And I'm going to go with the heels to get the W here. Moving on, we have one more countdown match. This one, ooh-wee. You got yourself a little bit of an X Division match here. You're going to have Alan Angels versus Mike Jackson versus Yuya. You're also going to have Gajar in there. You're going to have Mike Bailey and Kushida. Kushida is in Impact Wrestling. And this is the countdown match. You get to see this for free. I'm not trying to blow smoke, but they're giving you Kushida for free, man. That's a pretty big deal from him coming over from New Japan.
It is a big deal. It is a big deal. But this is what's wrong with Impact. See that everything that's right about Impact is in that 6-woman tag, but everything that's wrong with Impact is in this 6-man tag. No rhyme, no reason. It seems like it's just been thrown together. I don't like it. Obviously, it's you have some recognizable names, Kushida being the most recognizable, of course, and I agree. Him being on free television, despite that ridiculous sweater vest or jacket vest that I've always made mention that I can't stand. But no, Kushida, all jokes aside, being on a preview match is a little bit unorthodox for me. Mike Bailey, I think, is a good wrestler as well. But the problem is this match seems very thrown together. It seems like it's a filler match. I don't like it. The 6-woman tag makes sense from an aesthetic standpoint. This one doesn't. However, I do think it'll be I do think these 6 men being in the ring together will be entertaining, just a little bit unorthodox for my taste.
Yeah, and TJ Warner has come in and said X Division #1 contender. I could see that as well. They seem like they've been building back up towards that with this. My favorite in this is Speedball Mike Bailey, as a couple people in the chat are saying.
I'll say Kushida wins just because he's the high-profile guy in the match. I think it's going to be him that takes the victory. But again, let's do better Impact. I think this is part of the reason why they have a little bit of trouble as far as walking in that proverbial quicksand. This match seems a little bit thrown together, a little bit unorthodox.
Got it. And Rob, my apologies to Masha if I mispronounced her name. Trying to read through some of these. You guys will also be amazed by Mr. Johnson in that matchup here. Mike Johnson, the old guy in the back there. It's not your neighbor who's just walking around. This dude is pretty good still for his age. He'll probably do his usual spot walking across the ropes, but very, very talented. Let's get into the main card here, Sean. The 4-way tag title elimination match. Motor City Machine Guns, longtime Impact favorites here. The major players, they've been involved in so many storylines, and I think they're both so talented. Like, on a larger scale, I think that people should really give these guys more props than they get. Heath and Rhino recently just lost the belts in kind of a fluky, kind of weird way. And a team that I've been a fan of for a long time, Ace Austin and Chris Bay. These dudes, I feel like they're going to become tag team champions at some point in 2023, whether it's here or New Japan or Ring of Honor or somewhere. These guys are going to have gold, in my opinion.
Just as I made mention earlier of that 6-person X Division style match making no sense, is the same way I'm going to flip it and say that this Fatal 4-way, can I say Fatal 4-way? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, we'll take that.
We can't say TLC for Full Metal Mayhem, right?
Correct.
But when it comes to this particular match, I love it. It's a classic hybrid of having the future meet the past, having up-and-coming guys meet legacy guys. Obviously, the Motor City Machine Guns will be the legacy guys. The major players are obviously guys that have a very big name for themselves, which we love. And I love the hybrid of the match. I think the Motor City Machine Guns retain, but I think it's going to be a show stealer, if that makes any sense.
Yes, and I'm getting corrected again. It was Mike Jackson. Pardon me.
Yes, I do have better hair than Matt Cardona, but I give respect to Cardona. Thank you very much, sir.
TJ Warner is yelling for Bullet Club to win this. Is there any possible way in your world that they come out with these belts here?
There is a way. It's not inconceivable. Again, I think there's a definitive possibility. But again, if we leave this picture up for us to kind of break this thing down a little bit more, Ace Austin and Chris Bay are the future. I mentioned this is a hybrid match. Ace Austin and Chris Bay are the future. Heath and Rhino, obviously a legacy team. The Motor City Machine Guns are a legacy team, and I think the hottest team in this particular foursome would be the major players. I just think Motor City Machine Guns retain simply for the fact that I think they will end up losing to Austin and Bay down the line in a traditional tag team match.
I can see that because you don't have to take the belts off of them right now, immediately. Yeah. Major players I'm canceling out just for the simple fact of I think one of them is going to be in the Royal Rumble.
I think actually both of them are going to be in the Royal Rumble.
Ooh.
That's a hot take.
Now, Heath and Rhino just had the belt, so they must have took them off of them for a reason. I think they're better chasers, though.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's going to come down to Motor City Machine Guns, Ace Austin, and Chris Bay. You know what? I'm going to go bold. I'm going to say Ace Austin and Chris Bay just because.
Okay. Nah, I wouldn't be mad if that actually went down.
Yeah. Just looking up, we got major players. Someone said for the win, Impact has to scramble since AEW and WWE are grabbing too many stars that they don't use. That's a good point. That was my other fear. Ace Austin and Chris Bay should really be in the main event scene, and they have been just scooped right up.
Very good point, TJ.
Left and right, people are getting picked up, even from New Japan right now. So grab them and use them if you have them. I thought Mike Jackson was Vern Gagne. What up, Cray? I see you, bro. Cardona will be in the Rumble with his newly won Impact Tag Title belt around his waist. The forbidden door has been open before, Casey, in WWE. Maybe FTR come for the Motor City Machine Guns. That could happen. I wouldn't be upset with that.
Let's hope that FTR gets used properly, since it seems like they haven't been over the past 4 to 5 months.
Yeah, we'll leave that where that is. Jonathan Gresham versus Eddie Edwards here. This should be quite a clinic of a matchup here, especially with what Gresham is able to do.
2 words, hyphen in the middle. Hard hitter is what I look at this match as. Eddie Edwards is obviously ascended to great heights, and Gresham, former ROH world champion. I think it's a very good matchup. I think it's something that makes sense from a pay-per-view standpoint. You have 2 guys that are world championship caliber fighting in the middle of the card. I have no problem with that. It definitely adds some intrigue to the card. I think Gresham wins. I think he comes out on top in a very hard-hitting contest.
Yes. Casey said he's picking Edwards. He will not root for Gresham. This will be a banger. I got Gresham getting the win here. I'm going to go with Matt as well and say Jonathan Gresham gets the victory here. I think they need to establish him as a threat to the world championship. I think he could be someone who's a player for them. Great technical wrestler. I think we might even get one of those classic old school ROH type of matches.
Yes.
Due to that's where Eddie came from and that's where Gresham has studied. So it should be a tremendous matchup for them.
And already we're starting to see how this card is shaping up. Like, Impact is not, Impact is, I guess, universally recognized as the third biggest American-based promotion in the country, right? There might be some. It's hard to take that away from them. I think it's fairly safe to say they're the third biggest, third best, third most recognized professional wrestling organization that's built right here in America. I think this card is showing the world, hey, listen, we're to be reckoned with. Obviously, they're not on the level of AEW or WWE, but this is a watchable card, and it's a card you can watch top to bottom, and I think you'll be satisfied especially for the buy rate. I don't think it's going to kill anybody's pockets, and I think it's going to be worth it.
I think you have a tremendous lineup. That's why when you had said the comment before about those stars being on there, think about that. You have great people on the pre-show.
Yes.
Like, this isn't just they put like their lower card people on. They're like, no, Speedball is someone who you could consider Wrestler of the Year in 2022, and he's on the pre-show for you to see for free.
Yes, sir.
So I would recommend it. Trey Miguel versus Black Taurus. If you are not familiar with Black Taurus from AAA, he is an amazing athlete. And Trey Miguel has adopted a new, I'm going to use air quotes right here, bad boy type attitude.
Mm-hmm.
So he's been using the spray paint as a weapon lately. So in this one, who you got, Sean?
I'd say that Trey Miguel has to win. For this change in personality, for the championship reign to continue to be looked at as something that's noteworthy, I think he has to win. Black Taurus, as you said, is a tremendously recognizable name in the industry, but you can't have him come in and defeat Miguel in this title defense on a pay-per-view of this caliber. I think Miguel needs to win. I think the change in character needs him to win this match, and I think he will.
Yeah, I'm looking over the comments. I'm with you. I think Trey Miguel has to win this. I want to give credit, though. Black Taurus is usually like a loner from AAA. I assume he just goes over to get a little extra pay. But Black Taurus has one of the coolest costumes, I think, in pro wrestling. I don't think he gets enough credit. He never looks off. He never looks bad. He delivers in the ring. He's a really great wrestler. And for someone of his size to move the way he does, much respect to Black Taurus. I just think he's someone who doesn't get enough props. I wanted to show him some love on this.
That's a fact.
Here's one that I think a lot of fans are going to like. Moose versus I Believe in Joe Hendry. He always has his theme song that pops up. Moose and Joe Hendry. Moose is a former world champion, but Joe Hendry seems to be the hot ticket item right now for the Digital Media Championship.
Let me start by saying get rid of the Digital Media Championship. Something else that's wrong with Impact Wrestling. You cannot have a cartoon title. That, to me, that's on the same level. Let me think about what I'm about to say before I say it. Okay, the 24/7 title's worse. Okay, the 24/7 title was worse. Yeah. Okay, so like anytime you have a hardcore championship and you downgrade it to the 24/7 title and make it comical, okay, that's worse. But the digital championship is just not viable to be taken seriously. You cannot have a championship called the Digital Media Championship and expect wrestling historians. Maybe I'm wrong in speaking for you. I can't take that title seriously.
I'm not a big fan. I would rather they write a better story than go through with having I feel like that title's just there. I haven't felt meaning for it yet, if that makes any sense. Like there's no connection with it. I forget they have that belt often, to be truthful.
There's so many championship names that you can use. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, to me, the default one, always the default one, and something that's in my mind right now, probably because it's fresh and happened in New Japan. You could always have a World Television Championship. That never sounds bad. It never looks bad. It's considered legitimate. Anyway, that's me being on my soapbox about the Digital Media Championship as it is. As far as the match is concerned, I think Moose is victorious. I think Moose always finds a way to get these big pay-per-view wins. Even when he loses, he wins, if you know what I mean. So I feel like he comes out on top in this match.
I think they find a way to make Moose the focus star, but I think Joe Hendry gets the win. I think he's going to pull an upset victory, and Moose getting angry is going to be the thing. That'll be the thing that's the end of the story here. Damon McKinney says that the belt is ugly to him. He does not like it. I like the look of the title. I just wish it meant more. Sean, I label you the Internet Boxing MMA Wrestling Champion. I guess I'll have to retire that title.
Thank you, my friend. Thank you, my friend.
Digital media title is today's TV title. Okay. Yeah, I'm not mad at it.
That's a fact. I understand the wordplay, TJ Warner. I get it. I just think it sounds a little clunky. You know what I mean, Conrad? It just sounds a little clunky.
It sounds weird too when you're saying digital media. Why wasn't it just social media or what? You know, you could have did something different. What I don't like is you have the X Division title, which has always been put as like their, for lack of a better term, their Intercontinental Championship.
Right.
And then now this title's here, and I'm like, well, where does this rank? Is this supposed to be for? It's weird. I just don't understand it. I would rather these guys be competing for that championship, if that makes sense. But we're getting into little potatoes about it.
Semantics, yeah.
Let's see. Better than the TNT or TBS title. If AEW ends up leaving those stations, it looks bad. But why? TNT is Dynamite, and that's the name of their show. They could always flip that one around. Sure, you could change the TBS title to wherever you go. Matt Lopez agrees, not a fan of the digital media name. Digital media title, didn't Zack Ryder have the Internet Championship?
I didn't like that either. I thought the Internet, I thought that was a way to get him over, though. It worked for him.
Yeah, that's what happened. What up, BJ? Just got in. I'll comment on the rest of the show I missed in the comments later, like last week. Appreciate it, bro. Always looking for the comments. If you guys are in the chat, don't forget to hit that like button for us. Helps more people see the show, make it visible. And if you haven't, follow Sean on his channel. He puts up the shorts for us. And you missed an epic rant this week about The Rock that came from Sean on last episode of Clash of the Podcast. So make sure you guys check that out.
Selfish.
That's the preview. Number one contenders match here with Masha Slamovich and Deonna Purrazzo. Masha Slamovich versus Deonna Purrazzo versus Taylor Wilde versus Killer Kelly. This is tough to call. This is a tough call here. Who becomes number one contender?
Yeah, it's not tough to call for me, bro. Taylor Wilde, her days are done. Killer Kelly, I don't think she's arrived. Slamovich, I just don't see it. To me, this is another one of those matches. I've been going back and forth, some good, some bad. It's like the outcome is so predictable. Purrazzo is gonna win. I don't see any possible way that she doesn't. I mean, it's just as simple as that. By default, she wins.
I think Deanna Purrazzo is Deanna Purrazzo is my pick here for this as well. But what you said makes sense. Taylor Wilde, I just don't see it right now at the time. Masha's had the opportunity, but you could protect her in this match. And Killer Kelly she's my other pick. She's kind of my backup pick, but I'm going to go with Deanna here just because of the two names in the women's title match that we're going to talk about here momentarily. It just makes far too much sense to me to not have Deanna in that spot. She's gonna crush it with whoever she's in there with. So why not use her?
That's a fact,
right?
We're on the same page a little too much, man. You're starting to scare me a little bit.
I know. I need Masha versus Killer Kelly match. And you might that's where I think this is going to break down into for the next pay-per-view, Matt, or the next big Impact card that they're going to have. Why not have that match on there? And I think that they could end up having a stipulation match later on too. Some people are saying Killer Kelly for the surprise.
Guys, in the chat, I mean, a couple sentences or less. Tell me why Killer Kelly, why you're a believer. I don't see it. Maybe I'm missing something.
I always liked her though, even when she was in like NXT UK or when she came in to do how they're the I'm trying to use a proper term here not to offend anyone. The enhancement matches, the Carpenter matches, she would come in and I always saw something in her though. I'm like, there's something about her that I like that's marketable.
Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Purrazzo and Wilde already faced Mickey. We'll get into it momentarily, TJ.
Yeah, I'll just say this real quick as a little teaser. I think there are some rematches that are justified. You're right. Who said that? TJ, you're right. But there are some rematches that are worthy of being done.
Right. Let's see here. We got another matchup. Steve Maclin versus Rich Swann. Falls count anywhere in Atlanta. So make sure you boys don't step out of the county here. Got us keep it in Atlanta, apparently. Rich Swann, former Impact heavyweight champion, and Steve Maclin is someone who I see on the rise, Sean, to getting to that championship. My pick for this one, I'm not going to front, is Steve Maclin. I think you're building him up to become the champion this year, and that was one of my bold predictions for Impact. I do think Steve Maclin is going to become the world champion.
I agree with you, and it's with great sadness that I agree with you because I am a huge Rich Swann fan. I think that he is a tremendous wrestling talent and has been for a long time. I know that most wrestling historians do not recognize the Impact Championship as being a major world championship. I think in 2023, most people would either recognize the AEW or WWE championship as a major championship. But I will recognize Rich Swann as a former world champion. I think he deserves it, and I'm so glad he got it done. That being said, I think it's Steve Maclin's time, and I think he cannot ascend to where he needs to ascend to without being victorious at Hard to Kill. So I think he takes the victory.
Yes, and I want to give a big shout out to Brooklyn Joker, who he said Rich Swann, FTW. He's picking Rich Swann in this one. Maclin is going to be Impact World Champ, Matt Lopez says. Steve Maclin dethrones Josh Alexander. TJ agrees. It looks like Rich Swann got robbed of a proper world title run with fans. Yeah, he kind of got the Drew McIntyre treatment as well. I feel bad for anybody during that time period who got to be world champ for like the first time and there was nobody there to, amp it up.
Yeah, that's a fact. Good call, ML. I didn't think about that, but that's true. And good doubling up on that point, Conrad, about how basically it's the same deal Swann went through as the same thing that what's his name had to deal with, Drew McIntyre.
Had a banger with Kenny Omega too. If you're ever looking in the archives for a really good match to go back and watch, this one right here. Title versus career. This one has my interest. It's up there. As Damon mentioned in the chat, Jordan Grace versus Mickie James. This is the Ric Flair match, I like to call it.
Yep, this is it.
This is good. You think this is it?
This is it.
Go ahead. Speak on it.
I think, first of all, let's pay homage and respect to Mickie James, who I believe is going to be a Hall of Famer in 2023. I think that she has proven to be that more than that crazy girl that faced Trish Stratus at WrestleMania 22. She's had one heck of a career, but she's not gonna walk into this pay-per-view and defeat Grace. I mean, it's just not feasible in my mind. And I think Mickie James is ready to go, and I think she knows that this makes sense for her to go out like this. I think there's no better person for Mickie James to lose her career against than this just juggernaut of a female talent. And I think that's what happens. I think it's a tremendous match, multiple near falls as it should be. But JG gets it done and sends Mickie into retirement.
Yeah, could be. Could you see? All right, now I'm fantasy booking this a little bit just because I'm invested in this one a little bit. Mm-hmm. Could we see some type of dusty finish, if you will, and we have their spouses come out? Maybe Nick Aldis can come out. He's a free agent now. Mm-hmm. And Jonathan Gresham comes out, and then this could lead to a mixed tag. Is there any way to stop Mickie? Because it's going to be, if Mickie loses, it's supposed to be over. It's done.
Right.
No more Mickie James.
Right.
I mean, we all know how wrestling retirements go half the time, but I would like to think Mickey's true to her word on this one.
Well, I want to elaborate a little bit more too. I think this will be her last match in Impact. And then I think that she'll go enter the Royal Rumble again, and then I think she'll enter then I think she'll go into the Hall of Fame. That's how I think the order of events are going to go. Lose it hard to kill. Yeah,
I was going to say Mickie deserves it.
Yeah, lose it hard to kill in a banger, right? In an absolute banger. Lose it hard to kill. Move on to the Royal Rumble, maybe an elimination or two, maybe not. Either way, eliminated, and then Hall of Fame induction.
All good, man. BJ says non-finish he thinks for this one. Matt Lopez says Grace for the win. I'd be shocked if Mickie wins. Masha should be the one to end Mickie James' career. And Matt Lopez says he's calling it. He thinks this will be match of the night. Pro Wrestling Shoot, what's good, brother? Glad to have you in here, man. Thank you. Let's see here. No fans. They do shows with 100 people in the studio. That was what it was. Yeah. I mean, true. By the way, I hope you enjoyed my Star Turn Friday night on Rampage Battle of the Belts. One heck of a fan. Anyway, Grace gets the dub. Wait, Gresham is married to Jordan? I think they're married. I don't pay attention to the relationship stuff. I'm going to be honest with you guys for a lot of it. I know they're together, but I don't know if they're – I think they're married. I don't know. Someone in the chat could probably say better. Doug, what's good, brother? I see you in here. And it's time for the main event. Bully Ray, Impact Wrestling's worst nightmare and fear. A lot of people have concerns about him becoming the champion, and you've got Josh Alexander in a Full Metal Mayhem match. That means anything goes. It's going to be off the chain. What do you think of this one, Sean? You're probably a longtime TNA guy like me. Do you have fear of Bully Ray coming in and using his political power, some believe, to possibly sway that championship off of them?
I think there's a definitive possibility, but I just think from a wrestling standpoint, you cannot have Bully Ray win this match. It just doesn't make sense for the betterment of Impact as a whole, for the betterment of Alexander and the legitimacy of his title reign, which has been amazing so far. You cannot have Bully Ray kick in these doors and just manipulate himself into a title match and then win. I mean, did you see what he did to Tommy Dreamer last week? I mean, it was just disrespectful and disgusting on a storyline level. I mean, amazing work. I'm talking about from a storyline level, just completely disgusting. You cannot have that happen and then him walk into Hard to Kill and be victorious. It just doesn't make any sense. Alexander wins because he has to win. This is almost like defending the honor of Impact, in my opinion.
Man, yeah, I feel it too. Josh Alexander reminds me of like he is their Kurt Angle now. Like he is their I am carrying the flag of Impact Wrestling. I'm going to plant it and I'm going to do whatever I can to tell people you need to be here. I'm the reason you need to watch, show up. He delivers every time in the ring. The North was one of the best tag teams, and I think we got two great singles competitors out of it. Josh Alexander has to win this, like you said. TJ did make me laugh when he wrote this. He said Team Canada returns only if they do the Aces and Eights versus Team Canada. That's the only way you're getting that. And Doug, if you go back and rewind, we caught you up on this. Spoiler alert, me and Sean agreed on a lot of these matches. I think there was only one or two that we disagreed with. But for the most part, we were on the same page.
Kind of scaring me, man.
I know. Alexander retains. I hope we're not about to disagree about the rest of this show.
I know, right?
TJ said, remember Impact Plus special a week after, after the pay-per-view. Thank you, TJ, for that. Josh versus Bully is a banger. Devon returns to help. Josh Alexander wins. Then we get Bully Ray versus Devon. I need that Reverend Devon theme, though, if he comes back. He called my name. That was my jam. Deacon Batista. That actually hurt a little my shoulder.
Oh, no.
Conrad, we all saying give Impact a chance. God forbid people buy this show. Someone said it the other week. I think it was Rob when we were doing the award show. He was like, anytime you say give Impact a chance, and it's been really good for a stretch, someone watches it, they do something that's like off the chain crazy. But it's really, really good, though. Like I'm telling you, it's fun. Do you know who I am?
I will go there, though. I will go there. I will say if Bully Ray wins, we riot. I will go there.
Oh, the streets of Atlanta will not go for this.
Yep.
A guy who should have not been in the main event anymore. You leave Bully Ray alone, BJ. Josh wins, puts Bully, cementing him as the heart of Impact. Definitely could do that. Dreamer heel turn. Oh, please don't.
That's actually not bad. TJ, that's not bad. I didn't even think of that.
Is it going to help as someone once dubbed him on this channel as the worst like battle royal entrance surprise you could get? If you hear Tommy Dreamer's music, you just go, oh, come on.
Like, give me anybody but Tommy Dreamer.
Right? But we'll see. My brother testify. For the sake of Impact, make sure our leader does not watch this show, Derek. I take Double J versus Alexander over Bully. Come on, man. Everybody's on Bully's case in this one. He's doing a good job, I guess, then as a heel, right? Maybe that's it. But if you guys want to watch Hard to Kill, you know where to go. Fight TV. I think it's an affordable price. And if you haven't watched Impact in a long time, check it out. I think it's worth it. Well worth the time.
I like the poster, too.
Yeah. I love the colors. It matches what we've been doing on here a lot lately. We're usually in the Wolfpack colors here.
That's right.
We move on to our next topic, Sean. Bro, I'm so mad. Have you ever been so mad that you laugh at a situation? How did this happen from our last show? We were doing predictions, and I said Vince McMahon won't be back. Wrong. Immediately. Wrong.
He has to be the most selfish, egotistical person I've ever seen. This is not even. It's not even. Like you said, it's beyond being mad about. It is funny. It's like this is so bad it can't be real life. I mean, I've been seeing a lot of memes and a lot of joke videos about the old NWO angle that he did in 2002. If anybody's gonna kill my creation, it's gonna be me, because that's exactly what he's. I mean, it really is that bad. It's. I'll let you talk. I can barely formulate the words.
Hold on. I'm going to answer TJ's question real quick before we start getting angry. Where do you think PCO returns on? I don't know. PCO could pop up anytime he wants. I think we might see him at the next pay-per-view after this. Their next major one. I think they're going to use him in spurts. PJ wrote, "Don't turn your back on the Wolfpack." Your predictions had no chance. Man, Brooklyn Joker, Vince McMahon returns at the Rumble. We cannot have any 1999 situations going on with that. In all seriousness, though, with Vince McMahon, I have studied business people, and usually there's just kind of a way things go in 2023, 2022, whatever you want to look at it as. Sean, usually when you get ousted from something, you stay gone, right? Like you're like, you know what? They're letting me bow out gracefully. I can keep my money. I'm still the major shareholder. I can just back out of this for now and stay out of it. And usually you stay away for a long time. I move my mouth so that I can pound my fist here for a second. Sean, Sean, how? Something just fell off my desk. That's how hard I'm hitting this. How in the world do you double down on saying, you know what? I'm going to do whatever I want. And he wrote a threatening letter. Where is the SEC? Where are the business people of the world to stop this? Nobody's stopping this. He is protected. I don't even know what to say about this. He's been communicating since December. They've known this. Mm-hmm. Then he comes back, and guess who gets thrown off the board? The person who did the investigation on him. He was like, you're gone. And then 2 other people quit out of protest. And then the board magically, unanimously votes him back. And I'm not going to give it to the board and just say, oh, why did you all do that? Blah, blah, blah. They had no choice. He would just keep replacing you. Yep. At that point, you're like, do I give up whatever your salary is or at that very moment, like, what do you do? And he's probably using personal stuff with his family. Like, come on, guys, you know me. I've taken care of you. That's why you work here is because of me. It's absolutely insane. And chat, please feel free to put up some of your stuff in here, and I'll try to get to some of these because I want to hear your opinions on this. But Sean, I'm here to hear your opinion. Vince McMahon doubles down and forces them to let him come back. And I always knew there was a chance. I just didn't think it would happen this fast.
Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, rest in peace. In some moments, Ric Flair, Scott Steiner, there's been many that have come down the pike. Some with massive ego trips, some with minor ones. Stone Cold Steve Austin, taking his ball and going home. Vince McMahon makes them all look like child's play. Vince McMahon truly would rather see the business go down in flames than to see it succeed without him. Is WWE a great deal better than it was when Vince was in charge? No. But what I will say about the Triple H era, Triple H regime, whatever you want to call it, it gave us hope. Has that hope been materialized? Has that hope been realized? Not yet. But it did give us hope. It gave us a chance to take a deep breath and say, maybe things are going to get better. What Vince McMahon is doing now is he's doing what we all joked around about. We always said, Vince doesn't care about the fans. But in the back of my mind, it's like, he still gave us WrestleMania 3. He still gave us WrestleMania 14. He still gave us WrestleMania 21. He still gave us the Royal Rumble. He's still Vince McMahon. But now it's apparent, Conrad, and to all of our viewing public, Vince McMahon doesn't give a damn. And that's as far as I'll ever go. You guys know that's as far as I'll ever go when it comes to anything, even minimally profane in my language. Vince McMahon doesn't give a damn about us as the fans. He doesn't give a damn about anybody thinks. Vince doesn't even care about the success of WWE moving forward. He just wants to be the one to pull the trigger, the figurative trigger. It's selfish. It's disgusting. It's egotistical. And it truly is, it's heartbreaking, honestly. And I know heartbreaking doesn't usually go along with the vernacular of saying someone's angry. Like, we're all angry. But it's beyond anger. I'm sad. I'm sad about this. I'm sad about his actions. I'm sad about his selfishness because he doesn't care. That man does not care. And you know what? We should have saw it coming. When myself and Conrad were in kindergarten, when Vince was sitting up here stealing talent from other people's territories, before me and Conrad were even born, when he promised his father, and I don't mean this to be disrespectful, this is all common knowledge, it's all been talked about in very public forums. When he promised his father that he wouldn't compete against other promoters in the country, and as soon as his father gave him the reins, he went back on his word. He started plucking people from Crockett. He started plucking people from the AWA. He started plucking people from all over the world, all over the country. Vince doesn't care. And here we stand 40 years later, 30 years later, and Vince still doesn't care. But the problem is us, Conrad. Matt Lopez, McKinney, Sick, Briggs, Joel, everybody in here. Casey, the problem is us. You know why? Because we're still going to watch, because we're going to still hope. We're still going to hope, and we're still going to pray it gets better. But it's not, because Vince McMahon is exactly who we think he is. He's a selfish man who cares about nobody but himself.
Yeah, and it's apparent by the comments in the chat. I don't see anybody telling any lies. TJ Warner compared it to a House of Dragons quote. Only thing that can tear down the House of Dragons, which is WWE in this example, is itself. And that is ingrained. Vince McMahon is ingrained in what people believe professional wrestling is. Rob said something, and I'll be truthful about it. Rob said that a lot of my business knowledge from schoolwork, anything, I would always say, what would Vince McMahon do in these situations? That's how I would forward think. Like, okay, well, what's the next best step for this company? What would you do in this situation? You could set up this, you could do that. And I always based it on the world of professional wrestling. That's one of the things that attracted me to the business side of things, was pro wrestling. It's just fascinating to me. And when you take a deep look sometimes into pro wrestling, you're disgusted as a fan too, because of some of the tactics that are used, some of the things that they are not held to standard for. And yeah, Casey said it best here. He's been awful to his family. He's shown time and time again he doesn't care. He's selfish. This is an ego trip for this man. There's no other way to put it. You own 81% of this. You could have still helped with a television deal. He could have helped from a distance, but he said, no, I need to be back in the boardroom. Why? What kind of message does this send to the women's locker room now if they have a fear or a complaint about someone who's an executive? He's sending a bad message with all of this. And I get it. Sean, we talked about it on and off air. We knew, like, there's a chance he could come back. There's a high chance. I just thought that he had enough in him to just say, you know what? It's over. They don't want me there. Why would I want to come back? And despite reading all the reports and nobody wants him there, I don't know if the roster's got enough spirit to walk out if he goes back into that creative chair. Because I will tell you this, you are a fool. And I don't ever talk like this. I'm usually the middleman, but you are a fool if you don't think this man is coming back. You're crazy. Vince McMahon is coming back to do this. And I starred some of your comments. I know some of you are like, how come my comment didn't pop up? I starred them. BJ, you said, dude, let's get this company sold so he can be gone. He must have named Lex Luger the narcissist as a projection of himself. Don't put Vince back on the screen ever. While you're saying that, and we're going to get into who it might be sold to here in a second, Vince McMahon is going to make one of the conditions that he is going to be like how Dana White was to the UFC. Oh, you want the company? I'm coming too. I'm going to be in the creative role. I'm coming too if we sell this company. So he gets paid a buttload of money. He's going to be back in the creative position, and he's off the hook. He's not the guy who's in charge. It's less of a headache for him. Vince will do this. Mark my words. He didn't just come back to, I want to help broker a sale. He's coming back to take whatever he's going to do. And my last comment before I kick it back to Sean. Six says, this Vince stuff is tiring. I'm with you. Why hasn't anyone from a higher organization looked into this? It's corruption at its finest. You know why? Because the NDAs that he had signed, they're not illegal. It's a scummy thing to normal people like us. We know, but it's a common everyday practice in the business world, sadly. There are people probably from companies that you purchase products from, CEOs, all their girlfriends or anybody that they're talking to, or boyfriends even. It doesn't matter. The people that they are involved with are forced to sign NDAs because they don't want any of their business stuff getting out, and they don't want to be held accountable probably for any thing that they're into. You don't want that stuff out there in the world, especially in times like this. So they pay people off for that stuff. And that's where it all lies. And there's nothing wrong with it technically in the world of law, that you can't do anything about it. So did Vince break any laws besides using company money? What's he going to say? He was borrowing it. I'll pay it back. Okay, then it's done. That's how he probably views it in this whole situation. He views this as no big deal, Sean.
I know he does. And that's how most people who have this kind of sick mindset that they can get away with things feel. As long as you get paid for it, you can get away with it, and that's the sad part. And I really don't have much more to say. I'm very disappointed. I know some of you guys who know me, especially you, Conrad, who know me very well. This is not my normal, going off on a tangent, kind of like having fun with this thing. My whole Rock promo, my whole Rock outtake Rock take, I should say, on him being selfish. It's half truth and half not. I understand how these things work. The Rock has to do what he has to do. Do I think The Rock's a selfish guy for not coming back at least once a year? Yes, I do. But this is a different ballgame. My tone, my mannerisms are indicative of how I feel. I'm sad. I'm sad because he's ruining it. He's ruining something I've liked since I was a kid. He's ruining something we've all liked in our adult lives as well. And he's being a selfish, manipulative person with people's lives. And it's really a shame. And it really just shows you that, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what the right thing to do is if somebody wants to do the opposite, because people can, unfortunately, there's certain people that can force themselves into thinking that the wrong thing is the right thing to do. He just doesn't have any form of understanding of how to treat humans. I'm just convinced of that. Do I know Vince McMahon personally? I don't. But I think Vince McMahon is a cutthroat businessman who doesn't care who he has to step on to get where he has to go. And unfortunately, and I'll just leave it at this. It's really a sad thing when $1 billion and being recognized as the greatest wrestling promoter in the history of the business is not good enough.
It's never enough once you get to that level. It's weird because I've studied a lot of business people, and you see the amount of money they make, right, Sean? And you wonder, well, what makes this person tick? What makes you want to keep going? And it's more than money at that point. Some people say that once you make around, and I'm using US dollars for our international listeners. By the way, shout out to Colin from Ireland. He wrote a nice review for us and sent me a message on Twitter, the one that I sent you in text, Sean. Thank you so much for that kind review for us as well. Please make sure you guys drop one for Hubbard Wrestling as well. But looking at all of this in an overall scope of things, it's just so hard to believe what makes Vince McMahon tick. And in this situation, it's probably ego, but there's something for each kind of person, though. Some people love the power. Some people love the struggle, depending on what it is. Some people love the feeling of money. Once you get past, $80,000 to $100,000 a year, you really don't need too much more. Right. What else can you ask for? And people just, they can't stop. For some people, it's just the constant movement. Vince McMahon wakes up at 4 a.m. every day to work out. Some days 3 or 2 a.m. He doesn't sleep. You know why? He has FOMO. It's called fear of missing out. I went to school I was taught by people who were millionaires. And you know what? One of them told me, one day we saw him just taking all these vitamins and stuff. We were like, why do you take all those? You just ask rich people questions sometimes just because. He was like, oh, he said, because I want to try and live forever, or at least as long as I can. Because he has FOMO. He has fear of missing out. He wants to see what the world's going to become. And it's just out of interest for him. It's just a thing. So if you had all that money, maybe you would change too. I don't know. It's a weird thing to think about, but interesting, you know? What makes people tick? Pro Wrestling Shoe said, I was hopeful for the Triple H era. Vince coming back was like a stab in my back. You're not the only one. Cray wants to ask, if Regal gets refired, should TK hire him back?
I wouldn't. I like William Regal. I think William Regal did what he felt he had to do for him and his family, but William Regal made a decision. William Regal made a strong decision, a strong statement by leaving AEW and going back to WWE. You get fired again, you're on your own.
It's kind of the same ballpark as Cody. Like,
yeah.
Because Cody's was different. Cody's was, I trust you. You were in the inner circle from the beginning. And then when you decided to leave, and I don't know the reasons behind it, but he's going to look at you with the side eye.
Cody's worse. But William Regal, I wouldn't bring him back because now I can't trust you. Whenever the waters get choppy, you're going to want to leave.
Right. And Sick, I completely agree. I can back up Sick and Casey on their claims that they haven't watched. I'm usually the person that keeps them up on what's kind of going on. And even I watch less than ever before for WWE. BJ says he also put it in the bylaws now that no matter what, that's just him doubling down, man. He made sure that you have to go through him. And how is it that he can make a threat saying that I won't sell then? Like, I'll just say, no, we're going to just stay and do business the way we want to. That's crazy. I don't know. That Class B stock is real, man. Read about it. Learn about it. If you guys work for a company one day or you're in management, you need to make sure you know those laws and things like that, just in case you ever get into these situations. Mm-hmm. It's not something you deal with when you're the HR person at WWE or you're the administrative person answering the phones. But look at the stuff these people are going through. You may find yourself in this position one day going through this. Always worth it to pay attention to it. But that's the problem. Unless fans are willing to unplug from that company, he's going to be able to keep doing what he's doing. Y'all got to turn it off. Vince is sick and twisted. Remember, this is someone that suggested, I don't even want to get into that storyline.
Disgusting.
When Endeavor bought UFC, Dana was the figurehead as the main condition. Same will happen with WWE and Vince. I agree, Rob, 100%. I tell you who I feel sorry for with all this talent that trusted Paul and re-signed with WWE. Yeah, that's another thing, Sean. Would you trust Triple H and them ever again now? If you're a top dollar or if you're someone who has come back.
I think it's the rest of all those guys. I think it's done. I think that they're all going to be on a short leash, and I think Vince will get rid of them just like he did the last. It's over, bro. Like, that's what I'm trying to say. Like, I don't understand. Like, some of these reactions are 90% of them are right on the money, but like, I think we need to really bring this thing home, bro. And the fact of the matter is, Vince is back. Vince is going to be back. And at the end of the day, there's not going to be any difference to the way Vince did business before, bro. Like, he's going to trump Triple H. He's going to trump Stephanie. He's going to trump Khan. He's going to trump everybody. He's back. Like, Vince McMahon is back. There's just nothing else to say about it, bro. Like, anybody who Vince didn't like before, he's not going to like now, and the same fate is going to come for them. It's like all of them, like Emma, Karrion Kross and Scarlett, all of them.
Sean, what happens? I don't know if you've ever been a part of something that's merged or something that's going to get sold as a company. I haven't either, thank goodness. But what is the first step in that process? And you were just talking about it. What is the first step in any time you're trying to sell a company? What do you want to do?
Well, the first objective is to make money, but then it's also about employee, basically trying to see who is the dead weight and who they're going to cut costs with.
100%, bro. They are going to cut any and all wrestlers that they can. They may get down to having an old school 1980s WWF roster to where they have their 10 main guys, maybe a couple guys for them to beat, and you may be lucky if you got one or two job guys that are just going to stick around, that are just going to lose all the time. because they don't need anybody else. I think Roman Reigns has a no cut, and after that, it's free for all. Yeah, he'll probably keep the Usos around. You may keep the New Day. You're going to keep enough to keep the divisions happy, but for the most part, you want to minimize cost everywhere. They could look at getting rid of employees in the headquarters. They just built that new corporate office. Yes. What was the point of that if you were selling? None of this makes sense. There's some behind the scenes drama that we will hear about one day with all of this, and I cannot wait to read about why was Triple H moved out of his position? Was Bruce really running NXT? Is Shawn Michaels actually running NXT? What has happened to all of Triple H's people that came in? The Road Dogs. We'll see if that paid off for you now. Good job, Road Dogg. You just screwed yourself out of a job, hopefully, messing around with all that back talking you were doing. This is bad news for all of them, though. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying I want Road Dogg to be unemployed. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is the way he did it and the way he handled things is going to come back to haunt him.
When you rally yourself around the new bosses to make sure that you're okay by any means necessary. And to me, kissing tail is by any means necessary. I'm a sellout if I decide to kiss tail. If you decide to go that route, you deserve what you get. I don't want to see anybody not be able to put food on their table. But at the end of the day, that's what happens, bro. These things have a way of coming full circle.
Right. And BJ talking about Regal's rationale was in the right place and Tony understood it, especially with his own family. So I would give Regal a pass for this one. He seems like an upfront dude. If you are looking for the sale in the next 3 to 6 months, cuts will be coming after WrestleMania. Could be. I could see them having an announcement at WrestleMania at this point. Casey, come on now. Road Dogg. I like that. That might have to be the new symbol for when I do that, Cray. I don't know, Sean. I just don't know what to say about this dude, man. This dude is absolutely wild. I want to pull this up from, we're going to give credit to CNBC right here, Sean. And just out of personal, I just want to get your business thoughts on some of this for people who you think that they could sell to. Comcast is number one right now in my eyes. Comcast, they own NBC Universal. They would be a perfect fit, in my opinion, for this. I believe they have 160 billion with a B dollars available to them to spend on all of this. And they could do that, man. They could make that move. You have Fox that's also in here. I don't know if they would feel like they've been bamboozled on the last SmackDown move that they ended up making for them. You also have Disney in here. They have their returning CEO, Bob Iger. I don't know, man. I don't know if Disney would want to get involved. Pro wrestling's kind of messy. Disney likes to keep everything kind of clean cut and everything else for the most part. I mean, I know they have the Marvel stuff, but I don't know how far they would be willing to go with pro wrestling. Warner Brothers Discovery's in here. I think they're a far reach, in my opinion. You got Netflix, Amazon. Amazon came in and they were able to scoop up the NFL rights for Thursday Night Football. I mean, they seem like they're serious about television. Endeavor Group Holdings is another one. They did the UFC deal that we were talking about earlier with Dana White, where Dana White was able to stay on as part of the deal. I could see the same thing happening with this. Liberty Media is another one. They own Formula One. They could get in on this. And I've even heard that the people who help run the Sweet Saudi shows are interested in hearing this and maybe taking the company private.
Right. If I were a betting man, I would say that NBC Universal / Comcast would be in the front running. But I also think a major power play for one of the streaming services would be a good move for anybody out there. I think if you're Amazon, if you're Netflix, if you're Hulu, or that's owned by Disney, I should say, so that really wouldn't be the best move. But if you're Netflix, if you're Amazon, I think you're making a power play to fully separate yourself as a major player. They're already major players, but a major front-running player in the world of streaming. You give me WWE exclusively on Netflix, their sales triple. So, for me, that's the best way to go. But I think the most logical would be the Comcast NBC Universal group. I think would be the most logical way to go.
Yeah. Comcast has the built-in relationship with them. They already know what they're doing. And listen, I'm not trying to be funny about that Saudi Kingdom stuff. Saudi Kingdom recently, I think Casey had brought it up to me months ago about the golf. They took over golf. Like they're taking a lot of the golfers from over here and letting them do their thing. It could happen. Rob says they got 640 billion in assets. That's a lot of bread.
Somewhat unrelated because we're talking about an individual person, but also the Saudi soccer team just signed Ronaldo, so it seems like that area of the world is really starting to flourish right now.
Yeah, they're making a lot of investments. TK got Vince in WWE throwing air punches and crying like Trey and Boys in the Hood. Somewhere Alexa Bliss is cheering for Disney to buy it. If you buy WWE, it says a lot about yourself. Seeing all that dirt under the rug. You could be the one to fix it too, but I think the problem is going to be the terms of how they want to sell it. There's going to be more to it than just that. Disney does have WWE Network streaming rights in Indonesia.
If I'm in charge of whatever company, whatever group is putting together an offer, maybe we should make an offer, Conrad. If I'm in charge of whatever group,
$12 and a piece of bubble gum.
If I'm in charge of whatever group is making an offer, Vince McMahon is not going to be creatively involved, corporately involved. It's a deal breaker for me. And if you walk away from that, you walk away from that. You have that. I'm speaking to McKinney's point. I agree with you. So much dirty laundry, so much dirt under the rug. I'm not saying I wouldn't make a play for it, but Vince McMahon would be totally non-involved. And I know that probably is unrealistic because Vince is probably not going to allow that. But to me, I don't care what the deal. The money wouldn't be the issue. If I have the money, if I didn't have the money, and if I didn't have the money to go super high, I wouldn't be at the negotiating table to begin with. So let's assume that I have all the money in the world. Vince, whatever your price is, no problem. But you are not going to be involved.
I'm with it, man. This is going to be a story and a better be bubble yum, CJ. We'll work on it. Listen, I'll tell you guys this. Me and Sean, we've went over stories throughout the year. And I know a lot of our podcasts for WWE and AEW were dominated by Brawl Out / Gripe Bomb. That's not really done yet either. There's probably still more to come on that. We have this story with Vince McMahon that's been dominating since even the tester of us working together in July before we even started this Labor Day weekend. One of the first stories we covered together on here, Sean, was about Vince McMahon.
That's right.
It's absolutely crazy. So that's something that you guys, if you want to make sure you're hitting the subscribe button, follow, leave a like, check us out, follow us on our social media platforms. There's going to be a lot of stuff happening with that. So stay up with us on that. Really quickly, Sean, I wanted to get a quick transition note on this. Wrestle Kingdom, quick thoughts from you on it. Me and Rob kind of talked about it before, but I want the people to hear from you a little bit of what you thought of the show and Kenny Omega, Will Ospreay, bro.
Yeah, tremendous match. It was everything I thought it would be. I think the wrong guy won. Everybody knows how I feel about Will Ospreay. I think that the torch should have been passed. I think they really dropped the ball on that one. I think Omega should have did the right thing. I don't know whose decision that was. I don't think Kenny's like a kind of – go ahead, please.
No, I was going to say, I think this is long-term storytelling.
I hope so.
I don't think this is over.
Okay, I hope so because for me, Ospreay winning is just not the right move as it pertains to the torch being passed because the torch wasn't passed. I mean, Kenny Omega is the new United States champion, so I don't know how I feel about that, but the match itself was a banger, 5 stars, everything we thought it would be. I thought that Mercedes Moné's debut was lackluster, honestly. It had nothing to do with the crowd reaction or whatever because we all know it's been very documented. We documented it right here on this show that the Japanese audience, the New Kingdom audience, the New Japan audience was able to cheer. And I have a take on this. And if you just indulge me for a quick minute, I know personally that I was very excited to see Sasha debut. Even with the anticipation of her debut, I still was excited for it. But here's the thing about Sasha Banks / Mercedes Moné. The Japanese fans, I don't think, know her like that. And let me break that down. She's a worldwide name, no question about that. She did get a little bit of a reaction. But let's just flip this. Let's take the American audience, right? We're here in America. If we didn't go out of our way as wrestling fans to know the professional wrestlers in New Japan and abroad? Would we know them? If we watched AEW and WWE, the American promotions, Impact Wrestling, and we didn't venture off and go out of our way to watch New Japan at 2 o'clock in the morning or watch other organizations abroad, we wouldn't know who these people are. So when somebody of that caliber comes to America, we know because we've done our homework. See, Sasha goes to Japan, and I love Sasha Banks. I love Mercedes Verano, I think her name, Verano.
Yeah,
I love her. But all that sexy stuff, all that, saying the B word, I don't think that translates over there. I don't, and when I mean translates, I don't mean that to be translates as in literally translate language wise. I'm talking about translates as it pertains to the wrestling audience. I don't think they get it like we get it. I don't think they understand it like we understand it. I don't think they want to understand it. I think they're wrestling purists who want to see wrestling. And I think her debut and the way she chose to go about it, plus the botch of her new finishing move, it left a pretty bad taste in my mouth. I don't know about yours.
I feel differently about this from someone who's been watching for a long time. So I think that her coming out is a big deal. I thought the reaction was appropriate. We have to remember this too, Sean. Women's wrestling over there is not, they just started doing the IWGP Women's Championship. When I say just, I mean in the last year, not even. Like they started having stardom matches on the card. So give them some time. I think they're trying to get used to this, but I think this is her moment of saying, like, I'm going to make this a big deal so that people, when they see these matches, are going to be like, yo, this work rate is crazy. Like, it's absolutely really good, because her style is based on someone who was over there, Eddie Guerrero, at one point. I think she knows how to connect with this audience, and I think we're going to see that later on. And I put this picture up before when you were talking, but most people are like, well, what is that? This is the newspaper in Japan.
That's a big
deal.
This
was the thing they chose to go with on the back of the paper. They usually put a big person on there. This was their big moment to them. And it was Mercedes Moné coming up like, yo, this is who it is. They got WWE right there in the yellow lettering, if you guys could see it, right down the center of the paper there. I thought it was really cool, and I decided to snag that photo from offline. I think it was done by C on Twitter. ROH Syrian, I think is his name. I can't remember. I don't follow him, but I know who he is. And I thought this was so cool, so I just had to get that up there. Here's a better look of how she came out. I thought she looked like an absolute star, though. The hair looked really good. I thought the finish, you weren't wrong about that. I'm definitely putting the blame on Kyrie, though. Mm-hmm. She definitely landed incorrectly. She should have landed on her feet instead of going down the way. It looked bad. But I can look over.
Pull that picture back up, please. Thank you, bro. Sasha Banks is a beautiful woman. Okay, Mercedes is a beautiful woman. Okay, let's just put that to the side. I just don't believe all this sexy. I don't think it translates that well to that audience. You know what I'm trying to say? Like, we're infatuated with that. We like that. We enjoy a little bit of profanity mixed in our wrestling. We enjoy a little bit of sex mixed into our wrestling. It's just the culture. We're in the West, the Western Hemisphere. Like, we're in the Western part of the world. That's what we like over here. I think it's different. I think it's different in Japan. I just don't think it translates as well. I could be wrong. I would love for her to be a huge success. I want her to be a huge success. But if she debuts in AEW, which we all think that she may, on Wednesday night, make sure you check out the post show on EPW's YouTube channel with Conrad and Derek. If she debuts, as we all hope that she might, on AEW, the reaction will be way different. It'll be an amazing reaction. It'll be a transcendent, monumental reaction. But I just think New Japan was kind of like, oh, like that's a like, I could just see like that's a sexy outfit. I don't know if that's appropriate. It's just one of those things. It's like, it didn't translate, and then you mix that up with the botch, and it's like, oh my god! And it takes more than having crisscross as your entrance music to get over, man.
The Mac Dad'll make you up. If no one realized, it's crisscross jump. It's like a little remix of it. It actually sounds pretty beast, I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Casey said that he was kind of in agreement with you on this, Sean. That he for basically like what happened with that and how she was debuted, but. Here's my thing when it comes to the whole like, oh, the fans of America do this, and I'm going off on a little miniature rant. One thing I hate though is like how they'll say, "Oh, you AEW, Tony Khan expects us to know who Mance Warner is," and I'm like, "Timeout." I know I'm not hearing a WWE fan with a Bray Wyatt logo saying this on Twitter to me. And I'm like, bro, you guys turned into FBI detectives trying to figure out this White Rabbit stuff. I saw people who were inverting images. Are you kidding me right now that you can't go and take 2 minutes to see a Mance Warner match and you're complaining about that, but you're flipping stuff like that? So maybe it's the obsessiveness with wrestling for the American audience. But you guys have a good point to it. I'm not going to fully discredit it like, oh, no, you guys are – we'll see. I think that her impact is being felt, though. The show that we're going to get to where she's going to be competing for the title, it's sold out.
Okay.
It's basically like they have like seats. It was open, gone like that. So she's making an impact. I believe they had, I can't remember the number I just heard, but it was a lot. They had a lot of new subscribers to New Japan World. By the way, Everything Pro Wrestling Discord, if you guys want to invite, please send me a message and I'll send you a link to it. On the Discord page, I actually helped someone sign up for New Japan World. They were having a hard time, and I was like, oh, I'll help you out with that.
Help me sign up for New Japan World.
Yeah, it's well worth it, man. I'm telling you, they got some good stuff on there. And this is the image. Kyrie going at it. It should be really, really, really good, I think, this matchup between these ladies. I think the different music and hair attire threw off the New Japan fans that watch WWE. That's not her, plus it's different, man. I'm telling you, Kenny and Cody debuted in a similar way. I don't know if you remember that, Sean, where he popped up on the screen, sitting on the throne with the money lighting the cigar, and it was like, who's this dude? Like, that ain't Cody Rhodes, but they all went for it. When Jericho did it, they went for it. They knew. They were like, oh, Chris Jericho. It's different. We'll see. This is going to be a long-term thing to see how it plays out for it. Let me see here. Bro, you're wrong. 40. Thank you, Matt Lopez. 40,000 new subscribers. I mean, I guess at $9 a piece. That's a lot of bread she just brought to you.
Yep.
They role play and everything over there with sexy characters, with anime.
Okay.
You cannot debut someone as a huge deal with zero explanation and just expect fans to be huge wrestling geeks to know who everyone is. Can't. Not saying, but I don't know how it was built up to fans in Japan. I don't know what their expectation. Do you get what I'm saying? I'm not part of that culture, so I can't tell you that. How would I know? How would I know? I don't know how it was built up to them. I think that we knew what was happening. I don't know if the fans over there feel the same way, but I think her work rate, like you said, if that's what matters to them, it's going to translate to New Japan fans, I think, at the end of the day.
I think she's kind of operating now from a deficit. Her debut is universally recognized, if not for anything else but the botch. Her debut, I think, is universally recognized as less than what we hoped it would be, right? It wasn't bad, right? It wasn't bad, but it wasn't the spectacular, flawless debut and we all know debuts are very important, right? So what she has to do is she has to knock this match out in San Jose and just 5 stars and just remind the world of who she is.
And that's where it's going to be happening for the IWGP Women's Championship. Kyrie will be taking on Mercedes Moné, or as she would prefer it said, Money. Yep. So I think this is going to be a really good match for when this happens. And how can you watch that? February 19th, 2023, Battle in the Valley. I believe this is happening the same day as Elimination Chamber in Montreal. So
right now. Yep, I think so.
There will be choices that need to be made for this. Choices will be needed. Maybe we'll try to give a preview of both of these things as it comes up, but we're probably going to see a rematch between Jay White and Okada on that show as well. San Jose is getting a good show.
It's on the 18th Elimination Chamber, but I guess the 18th it's different day then. Okay, so because it's in the United States, so we're talking about 2 different days.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying it's not the same day. It's the same weekend.
Same weekend, but not the same day. Wait, so what day is the Chamber? Say that again.
Chamber is on the 18th.
Okay, so this is the 19th. Okay. All right, so that we got a big wrestling weekend then coming up.
Right.
Somebody said Battle in the Valley sounds like Cobra Kai stuff. Don't let them know. Whoever owns that trademark probably about to get sued. Let's see here. Triple H even copied Tony Khan hiring people. Only marks know. I mean, I hate saying marks in a negative connotation though, because aren't we all wrestling fans? I don't understand why people would make fun of the people who buy stuff from you.
You know, you can't say, "Oh, you marked out." Like, I marked out. Like, if come on. Like, I don't think that's a problem.
Yeah, I just use it as that. Let me see here. Wow, Kyrie is jobbing to Moné. Wow, Okada, Jay White again. I don't know if that's the matchup yet. They're just on the front of the poster. I'm assuming that we're going to get some kind of matchup with them in the future. Demond says, after the show, I'll send you what the move was supposed to look like on IG. Okay, hit me up with that. Yeah, overall, I'm looking forward to this. We'll see. We'll see what happens with it. I think there's a lot to look forward to in the world of wrestling. We've got excitement in the ring. We've got some craziness outside the ring. I think the most important thing is, though, to continue being good wrestling fans and just have fun with this, man. That's what it's supposed to be.
I just want to add one quick thing, man. This is not something we talked about in pre-production, so forgive me, my brother. Oh, my God. Last week, Monday Night Raw was supposed to be, quote-unquote, newsworthy. We had all these reports about how Raw was supposed to be groundbreaking. It was supposed to be a big deal, a big show. For the last time, stop believing WWE. If you get pleasantly surprised, be pleasantly surprised. Last week was a normal C-, D+ show, just like the rest of them are. Monday Night Raw is never going to be newsworthy. It's never going to be SportsCenter worthy. They lied to you. They didn't lie to me because I knew I knew the deal. I told Conrad, I was like, I don't believe anything they're talking about. It's going to be a regular show. It was a regular show. There was nothing to be excited. Don't be excited about tonight's Monday Night Raw. Don't be excited if the Usos and Sami Zayn and Solo Sikoa invade Raw. It's not that big of a deal. Nobody cares. Yeah. Actually, Paul White showing up on Raw probably would have made it somewhat exciting because the show last week was trash, and the show every week is trash. Monday Night Raw, it's time we all say it out loud. Monday Night Raw is not a good television show. It's not. So there you go.
Right. TJ says USA market is oversaturated with wrestling. Don't get why many people look at USA ratings, ignoring the rest of the world. Wrestling is global. Yeah. It's oversaturation is happening. Eventually, it'll have to change, though. It to me, oversaturation was better than me and Sean were here for the years when there was no choice.
Exactly.
You had one choice, and that was it. Unless you wanted to spend a lot of money on Ring of Honor DVDs. Exactly. And I didn't have it back then. That's what it was. Raw is better in highlights. 3 hours is brutal. Agreed. I hope that's something that they can look into changing. Sean, tell the people what you got coming up and where we're going with this and take us out of here, man.
Man, oh man, what a great show tonight was. Thank you guys for being with us. I'm sure I speak for Kyle when we say we appreciate you guys. Make sure you subscribe to Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. Make sure you continue to subscribe to EPW. Hubbard Wrestling Weekly, we have some really good boxing stuff coming up. We're going to really get the ball rolling after Gervonta Tank Davis' successful title defense on Saturday night. We're going to start gearing up for April. We're going to do like a 3-month breakdown and countdown for Davis versus Ryan Garcia, which is going to be a crazy good fight, battle of undefeated world champions. So that's going to be a big thing. That's going to be something that you guys can look forward to. As always, make sure you check out Conrad and our boy Derek on Everything Pro Wrestling's review and recap of the weekly AEW Dynamite shows right here on the Everything Pro Wrestling channel. Again, subscribe to Hubbard Wrestling Weekly. Continue subscribing to EPW. Hit me on Twitter, Hub with 2Bs _wrestling. Conrad is on Twitter as well. EPW at EPW show. Make sure you hit my TikTok, Hub Wrestling _MVP. There's a lot of good things going on. Appreciate all you guys. It's been a pleasure. It's going to continue to be a pleasure. And, that's all I can say, man. It's just good to be here. Conrad, you're my dog. I appreciate you. And with that being said, he's Conrad Cushman. I'm Sean Hubbard. And this is Clash of the Podcast. We'll see you next week, 6:05. Let's get it.